All right, all right, all right. We are live. I'm waiting on my good buddy Jeffy, guys. Kobe, hey buddy, good to see you, man. Good to see you, buddy. Brennett Givens, welcome, welcome, welcome. Waiting on my buddy Jeffy. He's going to be here in a second. HR Farson, good to see you, man. Welsh Kalen, welcome, guys. My name is Nick. I'm going to be talking about some drum stuff here in just a minute. I got my buddy Jeffy plays drums. He's going to be here in a second. We're going to be talking about some tuning issues. We're going to be talking about some head choices, stick choices, things like that. So lots of interesting information coming up. Lincoln Log, good to see you, buddy. Welcome to the stream. Guys, my name is Nick. I do drum streams Wednesday through Saturday where I play to requests. Also on Tuesdays, I do these kinds of little short podcasts with my buddy Jeffy. And we just talk about, various, drumming related stuff. So the most interesting thing that I think we're going to be talking about today is the concept of tuning and the best way to tune your drums in an effective and efficient manner. And Jeffy is here now. He's going to be requesting me to join here in just a second. But so we're going to be talking all how to get your drums sounding as good as possible in the most efficient way possible. So I'm waiting for his computer to load, or not his computer, but his cell phone to load. There we go. Jeff,
Hey,
hey man, how you doing? How you doing?
what up? Sorry, I was having some trouble with my freaking stand here. It
That's
was
okay. Safari guy,
interesting
welcome.
predicament.
Welcome. So
Hello, everyone.
we have got a lot of stuff planned out for tonight. We've got a whole list of topics. So Jeff, you want to get us started with something?
Yes. And I don't have the doc up, so remind me what our icebreaker was.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about we've got the 20 questions that we were going to sample down or cut down to 10 questions.
All right, cool. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go ahead and go first.
Okay. So, all right, I got it. Go ahead.
Actually, you know what? Let me go first. Okay.
All right.
You go ahead. I think I know.
Are you alive?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a man?
Yes.
Okay. So what? I got 8 left.
That's right.
Okay. I'm trying to get this where my ceiling fan light is in the way. All right. So you're alive and you're a man. Okay. Are you a celebrity?
Yes.
Shit, that was dumb. Are you a movie star?
No.
Are you a musician?
Yes.
Okay.
5 left.
So I have 5 left.
Yep.
Oh, I got this. I should just fire off drummers then because it's a drummer. But let's go with your boy Johnny Rapp.
No, but good guess.
Okay, let's go with Buddy Rich.
No, but also good guess.
Damn it. Okay, so I got 3 left.
Yep.
What up, Marky? Stuart Copeland.
Nope. 2 more.
Mike Portnoy.
Nope. Last one.
Steve Gadd.
Nope. Lincoln Log got it there. Thomas Lang.
Oh, son of a bitch. I should have guessed that one. That's like your favorite drummer.
Yes, that is right.
Damn it. All right. All right, I got mine. Go ahead.
All right. Are you alive?
Yeah. Yes.
Are you a male?
Yes.
Are you a musician?
No.
Are you a movie star?
Yes.
Are you known for action movies?
No.
Are you known for comedies?
Yes.
Did I ask if you were a male? I think I did. Does that count? Does that count as a question?
Yeah, you already did. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Will Ferrell.
No.
Will Ferrell. No. Okay. God, I don't know how to narrow this down more. Are you? Do you live on the West Coast?
I have no idea.
Okay. Are you Are you you don't know where he lives. He does comedies. It's a male. It's a movie star. Are you the guy from Walk Hard, Dewey Cox? Not Dewey Cox, but that's the character he played.
It's a really good guess. I'll even give you that as if you didn't have to say his name, but no.
I can't remember. What is his name?
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a real good guess though for the comedies I watch.
The guy
Cabrero.
Were you the guy
What's
from
that?
Dumb and Dumber? I can't remember
Which
his
guy?
name either. The main Jim Carrey. Are you Jim Carrey?
How the fuck did you get that?
Yes.
God damn it. Man, I should have nailed Tom. That would have been amazing if we both would have gotten that. Like, how do you get Dumb and Dumber? It could have been David Spade or Chris Farley.
Yes, complete blind guess, dumb luck.
I mean, I think I helped you along there. All right. Anyway, good job. All right, so you won this round. So we got. So you're going to talk to us about snare tuning, right?
That's right. That's right.
What up, guys? Welcome.
Talk to them real quick about the tom. I'm going to go grab my snare. It's just right in the other room.
Okay.
I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
Okay, cool. So this is really cool. If you Google, let me see if I can make that. If you Google virtual keyboard, okay, virtual keyboard, okay. Original composition. Okay, so this is really handy for tuning to a note. Okay, so I'm going to be using a B flat if you're a piano player. Which is this pitch if you're a singer. Okay, so this is helpful though. We're going to come back to this. And I have my what's up? I was just talking about virtual keyboards because you can use this. This is free. And you can use it to figure out the pitch of your drum. So what I would recommend first is strip your drums down to where they look like this. Okay, so no heads, no tension rods. You don't have to take the actual lug off these things where the tension rods go in. But what you're looking for, and it's going to be really tough to hear over this, but what you're looking for is the pitch of the actual shell. What up, Yukel? Welcome. And the best way, I mean, you're going to have to fool around with it, but I hold it by the mouth and put it right to my ear, and then I just tap the inside, and that's what a natural pitch is. And I know it's kind of weird, but like, if you want to know what's going to sound the best, that's what I do. Okay, and then we're going to start with the bottom head first. So here's the logo, cheap ass thing. So I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to put it on the stand, and I'll move this so you can kind of see a little bit better here. See that or not? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
That looks good.
Okay. Does that look all right? All right, cool. Just like praying that nothing's gonna like fucking fall off. All right.
Right.
So we have our bottom head here. Okay. And you can just pretty much put this on wherever. For sake of time, I'm just gonna put it right there. And I just finger tighten the tension rods and toms. Okay. So get down level. Turn them clockwise. This is weird. This is a 6-lug drum, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I feel like mine are usually like 8, but this could be standard. And I just turn the tension rods until I can't turn them anymore. Okay, with the finger. Just go around, keep turning them. Okay. Take your drum key, and I always start at the 1. Okay, so start at 1 o'clock, and you're gonna go in a star pattern. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, this is a 5-lug drum. That's why it's weird. So I'm actually going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. And a really good way of remembering this: always start on the 1. When you play drums, you always start on the 1s. 1 o'clock. So you have noon. This is 1 o'clock right here. Okay. So I know if you're like, I lost my place. And I start by doing just a couple of turns. Okay.
That is a coded Lincoln log. That is a coded Rezo.
What's that?
Oh, actually, no. Sorry, that's the batter head. He's asking if your resonant head is coded or clear.
So this is opaque because it's like a really cheap drum set. So this is actually going to be uncharacteristic. Usually this head's going to be clear. This is just what I happen to have right now.
Right.
And when I say turn, I mean a tension rod is actually a square. So one turn would be like that to me. It'd be actually like a quarter turn. And then here's a full turn would be all the way like that. Okay, it would all be 12 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Okay.
Hi,
So
Gina.
I've already done. What's that?
I was saying hello to my friend Gina.
Oh, okay. So and as you can see, I'm not following the star pattern exactly, but it's pretty close. Okay. Now, a couple different ways you can get a pitch from this. Okay. Is that a coded resonant? Okay, we answered that. All right. You can do a couple different things. Benny Greb actually puts his finger to dampen in the center, and then if you hit right by the tension rod, I'm not sure how that's sounding coming out of the phone.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay, so you can hear it pretty pronounced. You can hear that as the pitch. I mean, and you got to be careful because if you press too hard, yeah. So you just literally just want to touch it. Because if you just do it like that, then it's indiscernible. But like this, you can kind of hear that pitch. So I'm going to go back to my my B flat here on my virtual keyboard. So that's so I like to sing the higher pitch because then it's easier to like remember. So
Right.
except this is an octave up, so something like that. And I know it's kind of weird to like hear the singing, but that's how you can match the pitch. So if you're ever wondering how a drum's tuned, it's just figuring out the pitch and then tuning each lug to that pitch. Okay, so I'm just going to try to do it here real quick. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
So this is going to be what's natural. Okay. So I know we're going to talk about a couple different techniques on how to like achieve a certain sound. But right now I'm looking for full resonance. So I'm looking for the absolute maximum sound possible. Now for the top head, all I have is a snare head. So this presents another challenge, but I'm going to line that up, do the exact same thing. Finger tighten the lugs. Now, just a real quick tip, the pitch of the tom is controlled by the bottom head, okay? So on a snare, it's a little bit different, but for toms, you actually, if you want a higher pitched tom, okay, the sound is gonna go through the top head and through the bottom head. So that's what you're gonna hear is the sound reverberating through the top. And again, these lugs or these tension rods are a little bit dry. So if they're dry, you might not be able to finger tighten as much as you want. So you kind of have to do like relative with this. And a lot of this is by feel. It's not, some people use dials and things like that. Like I don't use any of that shit. I also really hope this sounds good when I'm done. Kind of embarrassing if it didn't.
Yeah.
I'll just blame it on the phone.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
The phone audio, right.
Again, I'm just going in a star pattern for the 5-lug drum. I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but we just really want to get as even as possible on each side. And you also might notice that the drum is like wrinkled, okay? And this could be because this is just a shitty drum, but you really want to make sure that there are no wrinkles in the drum here. So that might just come with actually adding a little bit more tension. Or it could be because it's not on there all the way. And typically with a new head, I would put it on the ground and I would actually push. The stand's going to kind of go down, but if you put it on the ground and you push, kind of like you're giving it CPR, it's going to make a new head crimp around the bearing edge, which is actually going to prevent the drum from going out of tune. So I'm just going to crank this right now because it's not really... either this is a shitty head or it's a shitty drum or a combination of both. All right, here we go. Okay, so the top head is going to control the feel. Okay, so for this, I don't want it as tight as a snare, so I'll probably start going down. And actually, I can't really get an angle on this, but if you put like a blanket or a pillow down and you put the drum on top of that, it won't resonate through the bottom. You'll just hear the pitch on the top. But I usually just at this point would just throw it on a kit and just measure the actual feel of it. But right now, I'm actually just gonna go. I'm gonna keep going up.
Hey, Dylan, good to see you, buddy.
What up, Dylan? Okay, so the head is having trouble stretching over this, so that's the reason why I keep on going up in pitch, because I want all the wrinkles to go out. And if you have noticed, I've stopped doing the star pattern, because in the beginning I'll do the star pattern, and then when I'm fine tuning, I'll just go around like clockwise. So for a shitty drum, it still sounds pretty good. I don't know how it sounds with the phone.
Sure.
But this head is really, really tight. So this would be good for like jazz or something like that. But it still sounds a little bit slappy, okay? And we've kind of abandoned the this plan. Like if we really wanted to tune to this note, it actually sounds a little bit too low. It sounds actually a little bit flat, okay? So let's say the top head's good, but the pitch is off. I'm actually going to come down here, and I'm going to tune it up again. Okay, so that's a little bit closer to, I feel like, the pitch that we want. That's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Okay, so all we did was, I think the bottom head is just shit, honestly.
Right.
So it's a little bit flat, but I'm getting a really nice full resonant sound. Again, it's probably not going to translate over that. But then if we bring this top head down, it actually is going to affect the pitch slightly. So if I did want to, so some of it you have to kind of tweak. It's the wood, it's the choice of heads, it's how old they are, it's the temperature and the fucking work and all that kind of stuff. So if I wanted to bring the feel of this down, because it is pretty tight, I could bring the feel down, flip the drum, and then bring the resonant head up a little bit, and it would still have that pitch. Because this is still at a, that's about right there. It's a little bit flat. But after a while, you're going to start hearing like an overtone as well. Like when you hit, like, because I'm not doing what I said when I muted the center. I'm just hitting it. I'm just letting it ring, and I can hear this overtone, and it's kind of like a harmonic, like when you play a harmonic on a guitar. So I'll shut up because I know you want to get to the snare. The only other thing that I would do is use one of these slap cat things, okay? And never use it on the bottom head. But what's really cool is if you don't like the overtones, that still doesn't sound that bad. I mean, for a shit drum, it's really not that bad. It's a little bit on the high side on this head. I would probably pull it down, but it wouldn't. It's still a little bit not. It's just a shit drum. But you can put a little bit of moon gel or tape or something on the drum, and it will get rid of a little bit of the. Actually, put two on there. I don't remember what my other one is. Oh, I didn't bring two. But if you put more. It'll get rid of some of those overtones. Just don't mute the bottom head. If you don't like how much it rings, go past the natural and then it'll resonate less. Okay?
Yeah, right.
I don't know your opinion on going under the natural pitch, but you know, you can literally get the pitches of your drums and just write on the inside with a Sharpie or tape a B flat or write it in pencil, something like that. But if you go to like, let's say a C or a C sharp or a D or something like that on the bottom head, it'll just ring less. So so if you have a resonance problem, don't tape up your bottom heads. Don't be that drummer. Just tune up your resonant heads higher, or take the heads off and start over. You know, get the natural pitch. Yeah. So, is there anything I didn't cover for this that you would throw out there?
That makes a lot of sense. And that is basically what he just went over, guys, is very similar to how I tune snares. There's not a lot of difference, but let me go over some of the differences real quick. So I've got...
Yeah, I think there'll definitely be some intersecting lines with the snare for sure, too.
Yeah. So let me back it up a bit. There we go.
What kind of snare are you rocking there?
This is a Tama Warlord. It is a limited edition snare that my dad got for me years and years and years ago. But
that's one of those cheap drums.
Do what?
That's one of those cheap drums, shitty drums, right?
Exactly. It only cost $2,000. But yeah. So this is Bell Brass, guys. It's made out of metal, and a lot of what I would do. Let me take my snares off for a second. There we go. Okay, so I have this one tuned pretty low because that's how I like this particular snare to sound when I'm messing with stuff. But basically, what I like to do is, well, one of the key differences in the way that I like to tune is Jeff is talking about finger tightening. And I do that exactly the same. But for snares, when I finger tight, I don't just finger tighten it. I also put pressure down near the lug, and then I finger tighten it even more. Because when you put that pressure down, it lets you get a little bit more finger tight.
Interesting. Okay.
Then I go, then I do the rest of the steps that he mentioned. I like doing this specifically on the snares because it helps it helps stretch the drum out a little bit on a brand new head before you get to the tuning. So you have to deal with a little bit less of the whole, head stretching out and detuning over time problem. That does still happen, but not to as extreme of a degree. So I like to do that. Another thing that I want to mention specifically about snares is on the resonant head. So this is an ebony resonant head I have here.
Is it an actual ebony resonant? They make that?
I mean, technically it's called a black suede. I just meant the
Okay.
Yeah. I got some drumsticks.
What up, Glenn?
But
what up, Ryan?
So I like on snares. I like for my resonant head to be higher tuned than my batter head, which is the opposite of how I like my toms to be tuned. On my toms, I prefer my batter head to be tuned higher than my resonant head. But on the snares, I like the resonant head to be tuned higher. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the terms batter and resonant, batter just means the head that you hit, and resonant is the head on the other side, the side that you don't hit. So I feel like if I have the snare side head cranked pretty tight, I really like the response that I get out of my snare wires.
Okay.
It just makes it more crisp, and one single tuning is not best for everything. So depending on the style, I may adjust that. But most of the time, I really, really like the way that having the snare side head cranked makes it sound. And honestly, this is kind of controversial, but I feel like it gives me a slightly different response on the batter head. That may be placebo, but I really feel like it does.
No, it does.
It really feels that way. Other than those two things, I do basically the same stuff that Jeff was talking about. So just, again, the difference is I just like to, put weight on my finger tightening areas. I like to keep my resonant head tighter on the snare side. I like to crank my snare wires. I like them to be pretty tight. And that's really just about it. Other than that, it's about the same as what Jeff does.
I think a couple things on the snare is, they're definitely going to be it's apples and oranges. But I think the biggest thing about the snare is going back to choking off the resonant head. Like some people just go crazy and they just crank the shit out of snares. Like Stan Bicknell will tune his batter head, again, the head that you hit, the head that you strike. He'll tune that way, way up. And that's great because he knows how to play it and he has a certain feel and stuff like that.
Right.
You can have your top head loose as fuck on a snare, but you're going to have to use those moon gels or those studio rings or whatever because you're going to have some nasty overtones.
That's a very good point, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you tune your snare heads to a pitch?
I've done that before, but I have found that it's not worth it simply because I'm going to use that muffling.
Okay.
Very rarely do I play like a completely unmuffled snare drum. I've always got either a studio ring or one or more moon gels or something because I just...
What up, Iris? What up, Jay and Blue?
Some of the overtones, like I don't want no overtones at all. And in metal, like if I'm playing metal, I want more overtones than normal. But very rarely do I want like a completely unmuffled, like totally naked snare sound, So yeah, I have done the pit tuning to a pitch, but I don't think it's worth the time for me personally and the sound that I like to go for.
Is that Roxy? Is that
Oh,
Rock's
that's
mom?
Jen. That's my friend Jen. Hello. It's good to see you, Jen.
Okay, what's up, Jen? So yeah, snares are really interesting. Your snare sounds like shit. You know, is a big diss in the engineering community and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just please, for those of you listening, if you are a drummer, because I know there's a couple in here, or at least a couple, please learn how to tune. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean like you're really. I mean, if you drop like 5K on a drum set and you don't know how to tune, it's gonna sound like a $5 drum set. Like this Gannon Tom, that's like probably worth like 50 cents next to me is going to sound better than your $5,000 drum set because I know how to tune. And I will say any day you can take a cheap ass drum set, put good heads on it, tune it correctly, take care of it, and it's going to sound amazing. You can take it in the studio. You can, I mean, because some of it's going to be sampled anyway. We talked about this last week. But I actually got my snare drum in the mail earlier today. My free floating copper, my 8x14 snare,
Really?
and I had the pleasure of playing it for 30 minutes before this.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now that you said you don't play an unmuffled snare drum. If you play an open copper snare drum, it sounds like a goddamn laser being fired. It's just like pew pew pew. I mean, it's got so much ring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an open drum that if you tune that drum poorly and muffle the crap out of it, you're not going to get any of the good qualities. Like metal snare drums, man. I mean, you got to crank the shit out of those, but don't choke them off. So if you're going to tune your snare head tight, your bottom snare head tight, make sure you're gonna learn how to hear when it gets choked off.
Yeah.
The volume's going to go down, the resonance is going to go down. How do beginners best learn how to tune?
So we
she's
were
coming in.
talking about that, and that's a good question, Jen. And I would love to give you like a really detailed answer.
What up, Seiko?
But just to give you like a basic overview, just finger tighten everything and go around about a quarter turn and continue to go up until it sounds good. That's a very, very simple explanation.
I don't hate that at all.
But
Not at all.
we already kind of went over like a detailed explanation of that. We may do another one at some point. But tuning is a bit of a black art almost. So many drummers don't spend the time to learn because it's a little intimidating because it's not like immediately obvious how to tune, you know?
Yeah.
So, just pay close attention to it. There's lots of YouTube videos out there as well. Don't be sorry, Jen. I'm glad you're here. Don't be sorry. My best advice would be that it's not nearly as complicated as it seems. I used to be under the impression that you could make one drum sound like any other drum in the world if you tuned it correctly. And that was because I didn't know enough about tuning. Really, the drum, there's only a limited range of sounds that a particular drum is going to make, and you can influence that with the way that you tune it and the way that you muffle it, but you're not ever going to make one drum sound, completely different than what it's intended to sound like, if you want a completely different sound, you got to buy a completely different drum. So don't take it too seriously, and just pay close attention to it, and don't overthink it, I think would be my best advice.
I would say it's never too early to learn. You should never feel stupid about it or anything like that. I know I can come across a little bit more intense because it's just I see so many great drum sets that it's just a shame because they don't tune them right, so they never even hear what they're intended to sound like. But there's also flex. Like I really like how Nick. Oh, don't apologize. No apologies. I mean, literally, like everything I learned on drums, I probably learned it from someone else. Fucked it up like 10 times, and then went back and relearned. Like I had to be honest with myself because I have a Birch Bubinga kit. I have a relatively high-end kit, but Bubinga is a very sought-after, expensive wood. And this goes back to what I'm saying before. You get a Bubinga kit and you tune it bad, you just set money on fire. You might as well just get a cheap kit because it's not going to sound good. But what I would do is I would find any YouTube lessons, any YouTube tutorials, take a snare drum. Honestly, I think it's easier to start with a tom because you'll hear the melodies, you'll hear pitches. Get the tom, sit in front of your TV, decent speakers, crank it up, follow the steps, pause it, mess around. But I would say if you could just do one thing to start, do what I did with the tom. Flip it over, tune the resonant head, you just sing a pitch, la 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 la, pick that pitch, la, and then tune the drum to that pitch and just, first of all, acknowledge how freaking hard that is. And second of all, if you can do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I got it, it's a C sharp. It sounds like a C. Oh, cool, awesome. And then you can hear those notes. So knowing melodies and how to sing and stuff really, I don't know how you tune. Nick, can you tune without being able to hear pitches?
I don't think you can tune melodic instruments without being able to hear pitches. But the drum set is not a melodic instrument. It's a rhythmic and a dynamic instrument. So
Okay,
um,
so not necessarily.
I would say that it would certainly be a handicap for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't have to be I'm not a good singer, but I mean, I can hear pitches. Like if someone
Sure.
said,
Yeah.
like in the virtual keyboard, like if I'm like, okay, let's say I pick the B flat, sing the B flat, I can sing that, okay?
Yeah.
But let's say I tune the drum to B flat and it sounds like ass. Well, I'll just be like, what if I just did like a G instead? Play a G instead, and then I just cranked it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the drum opened up. Or you know what? I'm just gonna take a Saturday afternoon and just mess with my drums and tune it up and tune it down and put it on the kit and see how. Because that's another thing too. And I'm probably getting off on a tangent, but you could tune a drum and it could sound really good. You put it on your kit, and with the other drums, it sounds like ass.
Yeah.
So it has to be relative as well. Like, and that's just. And I know you know how your drums are. Good luck with that new drum kit because it's going to take you. It's going to take you like a month to settle in. But let's talk about head choices before we wrap up. What are your we talked about toms and snare. What are your head choices? What are your go-tos?
So I prefer Remo. Remo's my favorite brand. I've been using Evans at the moment, but that's only because Sweetwater was out of Remo's for like 2 months because of the coronavirus. My preferred is yeah, I know, dude. I know, it was nuts. It was nuts.
That's not cool at all.
I know, but anyway, I prefer Remo Weather Kings. I just like the way they sound. I like the way they feel. One head is not perfect for every application. If you're playing jazz, you're probably going to want coated heads. If you're playing, heavier genres, you're probably going to want clear heads. And the difference is that clear heads tend to have a brighter, less muffled sound, whereas coated heads tend to have a slightly more muffled sound because the coating adds a little bit of additional mass onto the head, which deadens the sound a little bit, not a lot. But those would be my choices. What about you?
I just can't stop using Remo, man. I got to echo that. It's so consistent. Like Evans, I think the only reason why I don't use Evans anymore is because I happen to like Eric and Prada's signature heads, which they're on back order everywhere, but I was able to pick some up a few years ago. But they have like mandala drawings on them. Like Eric actually sketched them up and they had them printed on the first ply. And then they have another ply for it. So you can't like mess up the drawing or anything like that. And those are actually clear Emperors. And I don't really know much about thickness or anything like that. I think an Emperor is a 2-ply head. It's a little thinner than typical, like a G2, like an Evans G2. But once you have the right head on the drum, it's game over. I mean, it really is. And I can't say enough about the right tuning. Like you could put Evans. I've had Evans on there, and they sounded good. They sounded super open, but they didn't sound like they were achieving their full. Like it's like a round. It's kind of hard to describe. It wasn't like a full sound. It sounded good, and it sounded like good tones, but it sounded like gated or something. And then I got those Emperors on there, and it was game over. But I still use an EMAD for the kick. I can't find anything that's better than the EMAD. And on a snare, I'm gonna go to Guitar Center tomorrow. It's weird. I'm gonna go to the music store, and I'm gonna get a clear. I think it's Emperor Black Dot for the snare.
I love them.
I like, black dots, white dots are the same thing, but they have a little bit, so it's a little bit more focused sound than just a clear head. So you don't really need like muffling per se. They look really cool. I was actually considering trying out one of the bass drum heads, but I want to get a black dot for my snare. The head I actually used today, it's funny that I got this much tone because this is a Weather King, your favorite, coated, controlled sound. So it's actually got a clear ply under it and a black dot under it. So it's not designed for it. It's really designed for snare drums, but it can still be. I think Remo is extremely versatile. I used Black Suede for a while, those heads on my toms.
That's what I have on the resonant head of my snare. Yeah.
Yeah, I never used that. I always use a snare side, a special. It's like paper thin. For those of you guys who don't know what a snare side, like the resonant head, like where the snares actually touch the snare drum, is usually really, really thin. The thinner, the better. If you want to know how a snare drum sounds with a thicker head, just put it on there. It's going to sound like complete garbage. Even a 1-ply head, a regular 1-ply.
I tested that myself just to see what it sounded like. I used like a regular tom head. I think it was an Evans G2, and I put that on the snare side, and it was bad. Worst sound I've ever heard out of a drum. It's terrible.
Yeah, I tried it on my floor tom snare. It was you have to use a thinner head on the bottom because you're getting you want those snare wires to have like a response. So
Exactly.
yeah, definitely. How about muffling though? I know you said you use a super kick because you use Aquarian bass drum heads though. That's interesting. We have the same theory. One head on the tom snare and one head on the kick. Why can't Remo just make a good kick head?
That's a great question, man. That's a great question. For muffling, I've done a lot of the simple stuff, basic pillows, blankets, and all of that works. And I've currently got a little styrofoam device in there now that Johnny Rabb sent me.
Oh, cool.
It's like it's got Velcro and it attaches to the side. It's a specific kind of muffling, but like it's not super necessary. I could achieve the same thing with a blanket, you know. So you really don't need to go super complicated with that stuff. Just toss a blanket in there, make sure it's touching the head, and you know you're really good to go, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's like a moving blanket, like one of those thicker blankets. But then I also have the batter head of the bass drum should really have some sort of muffling on it. Like, I think that's where I'm going to disagree with some drummers like that don't have any muffling. But anytime there hasn't been muffling on the batter head of the bass drum, it sounds real slappy and not focused. Like your kick should really be like you're stomping your foot on the ground to me with some added bass.
Yeah. I don't like.
You don't really want to hold. You don't want to hit it and go for like 3 minutes. You know, I mean,
yeah, you don't.
It really should be focused. Yeah.
So, well, I've got to go run and help my wife with some stuff here in a minute, but
no problem.
I think that's interesting. I totally agree with that. I find that, like, I was just helping a guy the other day set up a drum stream. People tend to overtune their kick drums, like have them too tight and not have enough muffling because, you know, they kind of tend to treat it like a different drum, like a floor tom, you know? And that's what this guy had. He had no muffling in his kick drum, and he had it tuned up to a pitch, just like the floor tom, you know, and his rack tom. And it sounded like a floor tom and a rack tom, you know? So
now, if you're recording, that's fine. But if you want to sit down and also if you ever play your kit without recording and you want to hear it and you want to hear balance acoustically, that's never going to happen if you tune your kick like all your other drums. Your kick and your snare are independent of any other drum.
Exactly. Yeah. It needs to be muffled. But yeah, that's probably going to wrap it up for us here tonight, guys. We got a couple of topics we didn't get to, but we'll nail those in the near future. So let me know, guys. Send me a message if you guys got any questions. If anybody wants any more help with tuning, you can message me or Jeff. We'll be glad to help you any way we can. And we'll be live next Tuesday at 8 p.m. U.S. Central Time. So thanks for being here, guys.
And one last shameless plug, and I know you got to help your wife. There's a tom tuning and a snare tuning video on my channel.
Yes. Yeah.
If you want to go check it out, it's a lot of rehashing what we said, but a couple of extra tips and a little bit longer videos, walk through it. But yeah, message either one of us. Our stuff sounds good. I mean, I hate to be like cocky about it, but our drums usually sound good because we know a lot of tunes. So we're happy to help you.
All right. Have a good one, guys. I will see you in the next video.
Later on.